Arnold Schwarzenegger returns from raising my taxes to raising the body count. Hello and welcome to my review of The Last Stand, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Alexander, and Johnny Knoxville. The Last Stand takes place in the small town of Who the Hell Caresville and centers on a sheriff named Ray Owens, played by Schwarzenegger. He's living the happy, quiet life, going to the bar, going, "Hello, I'd like some French toast, please," when all of a sudden, a criminal, an evil cartel guy, escapes from prison in Las Vegas. And, Forrest Whitaker is the FBI agent. He can't catch up with him. So he calls this small town where the guy's headed because he wants to get out of the country and go to Mexico. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's all like, he's not going to go through my town. So he gets a bunch of random small town people and they form a last stand to stop this Mexican criminal from crossing the border. Now, I was incredibly hyped for this movie because it is the return of Arnold Schwarzenegger in a leading role, not one of those, "Hello, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger," and don't really do anything roles in the Expendable movie that he has. This is him in a leading role, and I was excited to go see this movie last weekend with tons of other action fans. Apparently, I was not the only one who was sick last weekend because this movie had a miserable opening weekend. So I saw this movie with a considerable amount less hype, and not to mention people. There are about 7 or 8 people in the theater maximum, which is a pretty pathetic showing for an Arnold Schwarzenegger film. But that's not important. What really is does this movie live up to all the hype of having the greatest action man of all time come back to his game and kick some ass? No, not really. However, don't unbook your Netflix rentals yet, because this is indeed a mildly entertaining film despite it not being as good as you may think it's going to be. What does make this movie kind of fun is the presence of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the lead role. The guy can still carry a movie, there's no doubt about that. He's got the same screen presence, the same charisma, and the same complete lack of understanding for the English language that just makes him a hell of a lot of fun to see. Now, when it comes to him in the action sequences, he's very fun to watch, but unfortunately, while I'm sure he is doing his own stunts, maybe he isn't, I don't really know, it's not entirely believable that he's in there doing it. I don't know. He does seem like a bit of an old relic in the action scenes. That was what was really disappointing about this movie for me, is that while the action scenes are fun, I didn't get that sense of like a Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven. Like, man, this guy still kicks ass big time. This was really more of just a fun way to kind of bring him back, but it doesn't pack that punch that you think, and he doesn't pack that punch that you think. He isn't what he used to be. But that being said, he is fun to watch. Also, despite all the problems this movie has, it is well directed by Jee-woon-Kim, who's previously done only a couple of movies in Korea, I believe, called I Saw the Devil and The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. He has a great sense of how to shoot these action sequences to make them feel more epic than they probably are. He films everything well, nothing too up close, and just has a great sense of style when it comes to the couple gore scenes in the film. They really make it feel like fun gore, and that was awesome that just happened. You could tell that this guy actually legitimately put some effort in the movie and was having fun making it. That being said, if you take Schwarzenegger and the good direction out of this, you would have one of the most lackluster scripts in recent memory. This movie does absolutely nothing to elevate it from any typical action film. It's just it's a very generic story that doesn't really have great characters in it. Schwarzenegger's character is entertaining just because it's Arnold, but I mean, his character isn't really well defined. He just has the typical backstory you'd expect from the old man sheriff movies. And the rest of the police crew that he works with, you have Luis Guzman, some guy, Jamie Alexander, Johnny Knoxville. All these guys are just relegated to kind of side roles and not really given anything interesting to do, even though a couple of them do have screen presence, except for Johnny Knoxville, who, I'm sorry, he's irritating. There's just no getting around it. He just has this lackluster, I'm a monkey and somehow I'm in a movie thing going. He's bad to watch in this, and he just really brings the whole thing down. And also, shockingly enough, Forrest Whitaker is really bad in this movie. He spends the whole movie talking like he's completely out of breath, and all of his dialogue is just obnoxious. "Hey, bring up that computer screen. Now, you, go over there. Okay, you, chase after this guy." Like, it's just, he's playing the same role he's played like 3 or 4 times in several other cop movies, and you can tell he's just totally phoning it in, even though Forrest Whitaker is normally a very good actor. Also, the movie's villain is very weak. He doesn't have anything to make him unique from any other Arnold Schwarzenegger villain in the world. He's a typical slimy Mexican guy who just kind of is there. And there's another villain in the movie, this kind of bodyguard character who's actually a lot more entertaining. And I wish the movie were mainly about him being the villain. Overall, while The Last Stand is fun because of Arnold Schwarzenegger being in it and some decent directorial style, it is an utterly generic action movie when you take those elements out. Is it worth seeing? Maybe at a rental, but it's just not worth the hype of having Arnold Schwarzenegger finally be back. I give it 2 stars out of 4. It's not as good as you think it's going to be, and I'd say that you were probably right to skip it, weirdly enough. And that was my review of The Last Stand. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, I'm Michael Fairbanks.